Next we have Lindsay Turner, who lots of us heard from today, talking about the hope and the futurity that's kind of inherent to literary translation, as hopefully what we've just heard sort of gestures to. Lindsay's the author of the poetry collection Songs and Ballads, which came out in 2018, and she's a translator too of contemporary Francophone poetry and philosophy, including books by Stéphane, by Souleymane Bachir Diane, Anne Dufour-Mantel, Frédéric Nérat, Richard Rechtman, and Ryoko Sekiguchi. She lives in Denver, Colorado, so she's come a long way. She's assistant professor there in the Department of English and Literary Arts at the university. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Rona. Thank you all for having come. Thank you to Michael Woolworth for hosting us. This is such a beautiful space, and it's so fun to be reading here. Merci à vous d'être venu. I'm going to, let's see, I thought I would start actually by reading a poem by Stéphane that seems germane for this evening in particular. So this is from The Next Loves, which was published in English by Nightboat Books in 2019, and it's called Translating Paul Blackburn. If, without delay, you call, go on, 212-613-1717, a fabulous giant apartment could still be yours, with a view over the river and the summer twisting itself around mouths and over the gas fume haze, which envelops, saturates the ducks, the little blue-haired lady drinking water out of the fountain, and the heat, egalitarian, also embracing the bank's surprise profits blinking on the southern horizon. And those thighs, the boys beneath his Bermuda shorts, and the subdued thumping of the helicopter, plus the girl making a date with someone. She's almost positive it'll be great, come. Exaggerated persuasion and come that she repeats. Oh, please, really, oh, please. She must be thinking of caresses that outline her shoulders. On the street you meet police and firefighters, the neighborhood sirens turn, the world of video game euphoria, a guy who says to his friends, still, and you know the gesture down of his hand, in this context maybe calme, tranquille. But in the calmed and sleeping landscape you'd be simply buried in the goodness of time. I just breathe on the minuscule red spider running across goodness. Someone like him would have come in spite of his workplace schedule, just still, and his wake-up kiss in the stretched-out afternoon. The white-haired black saxophonist who starts playing at 7 a.m. The morning is deserted. It's an effort of the night, or maybe a special vestige of the old legends when the city literally sweated with love. Worn-out sigh of we remember when to have read it and better. The day goes on impervious, like the conveyor belt in the bagel toaster, the untranslatable square in the sun in July, the kids playing on a half-flooded block of concrete and all that jazz, the Sikh talking with the girl, the fountain, seal, also worth it. Even though I accept the children, they're more efficient present participles, i.e. the ones you hear in yelling, living, following. Including the photographer, his bare, flat, perfect stomach that required hours and years of work. He strolls toward the end of the pier for his stupid photo of an excessive sun falling straight in between two buildings at the same time. It's plainly impressive. Nuclear explosion in reverse, as if the light swallowed itself in its stomach of light, if that makes any sense at all. But no more intense than, on further consideration, the orange nova of the evening sun tucking itself bird-like into the green trees. We head toward Park Slope to dine at the best Italian restaurant in Brooklyn, supposedly. And it was vaguely true and very long, and now the trees and the night, the scavenging rat remain, and Habib repeats, it was good. Finally, I gave up, overwhelmed, counting the powerful ankles in this city, even the ones behind which I'm walking right now. Ultra blonde, super rivery. If only he knew, it would take so little to be saved, but okay. I just go straight to dinner. the building bizarrely lost in an instant of nowhere between art and nothing. Night falls, the wind picks up the storm. We close the windows, dip out buckets of second light. We eat blueberries, we listen to the voices of Paul and Frank. And why have I suddenly a mouthful of tears for not having known how to protect them from death, no matter if I wasn't really born yet? Remember the falling rain. I could have made the effort. I'm going to read some poems from this book, Songs and Ballads. I didn't ask Stefan to read in French, but Stefan has made a lovely translation of these poems. So if you want to read them in French, you could ask him. J'ai pas demandé à Stéphane de lire ses poèmes en français, mais c'est vrai, il a fait une très belle traduction de ce livre. Donc si vous voulez lire en français, il faut lui demander. That's enough French for me. Too jet lagged for it. So I've picked. I don't think of myself as a New York School poet of any generation at all. But I picked the poems of mine that are maybe the most new. Some of them that are the most New York School-y, which is maybe not very. So it's been strange coming from Denver because spring hasn't yet sprung in Denver, but it's very much here. And so I'm reading from a section of the book that kind of tracks a winter into spring in a very different place, but it felt appropriate to read some poems from here. And then I'll read some new poems. Capital Song. It isn't February yet. In Columbus it must be very cold. Things only move in the places we aren't. The lines to stand in haven't been labeled right. Or it's cold everywhere, to be hemispherical about it. Bits of the structure can only be seen when the plane has almost landed. There must be a way to make everything clear. The structure is only visible in patches. We envy the others whose lines are more classical. We envy the others whose judgment is practical, but still there are things that no one should pay for. Things only happen in the other places. Where we are, it's hard to get answers at all. The lemon groves are in foreclosure. As of yet, we don't have any answers. This is a little poem. The name that's referenced in this poem is the name of the heroine in Spenser's Fairy Queen. Britomart. Britomart thought she would go look at the sea. You could walk all the way across the island, and so she did. Look at the things people have built up over the years. Of course, they weren't thinking about you. Britomart walked up the hill and over it. There wouldn't be a reason to go at night, but still it seemed like someone might get hurt. This is a danger that exists everywhere, but you can't think like that. The motorbikes had fuel tanks that were milky and white. It was Sunday, so it was hard to tell anything about working. The project was paused in the middle with piles of stone in the yard, in the front. Britomart went all the way to the edge and looked. The sea under the cloudy parts began to look a little black. There was clearly a system, but it couldn't be guessed at. This is a pleasing solitude only if you don't get scared easily. April Song. There's a darker ethics in the shallows this spring. Black, fresh clouds, supermarket brands reflecting just about forever. Then the whole ceiling went. Spacey and almost run over. There's not enough warmth to go up against inevitable upturn, downturning, or whatever. The day has too much damp for its warmth. When I woke from my dreaming, it was coming up due. Convalescence. I threw out everything in the fridge on suspicion of badness. Down near the sea, it was supposed to be therapeutic, but felt worse. The shape of the heron-like bird is the same as the shape of the black rock a little closer in, when the bird comes around the rock, like a delicate jay below the page. Nothing is moving. There is no capital. Things are becoming way too brittle. Anything careful seems utterly peaceful, yet nothing is yet in bloom. So I'm sleeping on the floor in the living room. I saw a channel, a chain awkwardly rusting into knots. I saw the god of suspensions near the sea road. I didn't. L is asleep. L is always asleep. The walk to the library, is that a poem? Across is the penthouse, all windows and sky, and the texture of the gull, the level of the gulls who can manipulate the texture of the new substantial wind. Have you got your views all set to give? Actually, I'm judging everyone. It wasn't that I took interest in what was happening, but that I didn't know what else to do. Good Friday and the jackhammers into the sunny afternoon. Jealous of B and her productive happiness. Cold as A in his Atlantic mists. We never see the moon. May is a popular wedding month. May, the little rhododendron, pressed her face into the hedges. Julia called me warbling from the balcony. The rain broke off the lily stems. Got the text from Mary in Rhapsodies. Got a message from the wrinkled heather. Metal roses in your plastic hinged compact mirror. A rose for every sash in the minivan. Put the wild pansy in a setting. Put Laura in a taller vessel while the yellow wind blows up around us. It's a searching wind and it's a finding one. Did you ever hear from Philomel? I haven't heard a thing from Emily. I would never blame the choruses of flowers. I'm only trying not to lose the names so pretty to repeat. And I'll read just a few poems, 3 poems from a collection that I'm finishing up about mountains, in particular the Blue Ridge where I grew up, and also the Rocky Mountains where I live. Old Orchard on Envy. The neighborhood used to be an orchard. A squirrel with an apple in his mouth, an apple with a bite out in the gutter. 2 boxes of them sent to the president, heavy as gold. A good tree can be bought, but better is to buy the house with the orchard. Mongrel and clueless, the good trees drop their fruit. It does not fall far from the tree, though it can be rolled or carried. Look, they struck it rich, and now they flip and sell, flip and sell. The apples rolled underfoot, a cold wind blew the dirt away. Resentment spoils, cidery waft. Aging spoils, spidery creep. Must get through it. It's like making a pie, or that's what they want you to think. So I went back to work, bare as a young tree trunk after the leaves go down. In the gorgeous rented house was a tapestry full of a tree, full of peacocks and of roses, round and red as apples. In the morning, the light splashed over it. The tree grew from a little lump of land. The tree's crown was wider than the land. The moral is that the peacock's tail had to end somewhere beyond the tapestry. A wing for the nanny, a pearl for the pet, a fur coat for the little boy climbing into the car. Champagne for the grown-ups, a tub for the salt, bitter juice for the little girl, dark-haired and pristine. Mine is the champagne, mine is the salt, mine is not the little girl, dark-haired and pristine. Mine is the orchard smell, mine the orchard wall, mine is not the orchard, though what falls, falls near. I guess this is sort of a pandemic poem. Counting song. An orange on the first day, an apple the next. Down for the count with a parking lot picnic. Out on the town in a parking lot panic. I saw the lake before falling asleep. A coin for your feelings. My heart sliced like an apple. The lake shone like milk glass before the storm hit it. Take your coffee and go. Take your protocols with you. Store what you desire for the worst of the weekdays. An orange cut in wedges, the stock market says that the margins are empty with nowhere to sleep, and the tents get blown over and nobody did it. The house you insisted on making gets locked. An apple a day, but we don't know how many. I don't know when it stops putting out ripples, while uncountable dark lakeside undergrowths growing, the units are bobbing like geese on the lake. An apple a day and you ration the oranges. A day where you cry is a day of accounting. I mean, it's better if you can try to keep counting your blessings undoctored, exposed to the air. Last poem. Another spring poem. The Redbuds. Redbud winter is a cold snap when they're blooming. I should also say, like, this is a thing in southern Appalachia. There are different winters, like they all have names. There's like maybe Leanne, you know this. There's like one of them is called Redbud winter. It's like Indian summer, little mini seasons. The redbuds. Redbud winter is a cold snap when they're blooming. I live in a plane, trying to read the future, trying to go back there to the place of them. Flying back there and trying to read the future in the crop-stamped fields and circles in the dry earth. I live in the redbuds, whose flowers take up all the branch. Oh, heart and a dream reaching out and out, a drunken babble, a bowl and a drought. A leap off the boat on my back looking up into petals on petals. In my heart is all the warmth, in the cold spring when you stay in the sun and you never leave it, face down on the warmed-up asphalt. See how old we have become, my heart and I, this winter. It is not the last of the little winters. Through the lanes of blooming redbuds, the semis on the highway slide into place, one behind the other.
Thank you.